Good evening. This is the September 13th, 2023 meeting of the Conservation Commission. And just a note, our agent Landis is not with us at the moment. She's delayed by the storm, but she will be here. Is this the first one? Yeah. Town of Walpole, amended order of conditions, Conservation Commission public hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, notice hereby given the intent of Howard Stein Hudson / FRH Realty LLC and 55 SS LLC to amend and approve order of conditions DEP number 315-1227 at 55 Summer Street, Walpole, Mass. For modifications to the previously approved development plan, including reduction of wetland impact and reduction of the development footprint within the 100-foot buffer zone. The amended order conditions, application and plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person July 12, 2023, beginning 7 p.m. All interested person requests to be present. And good evening. See what we have here. Okay, I have a letter from the town engineer. This is dated July 10th. They received the plans and notice of intent. Understand the project was previously peer reviewed, therefore we suggest the Conservation Commission engage the original peer review firm to review the modifications. If we find issues while we review for other utilities, etc., we will provide comments. The Board of Health, this is June 22nd, will be meeting before comments are due July 12th. Therefore, the Health Department would like to make comments based on Board of Health standard motion, not in favor of construction within the 100-foot buffer zone. The Board of Health urges future homeowners to adopt standard best practices for mosquito mitigation and work with Norfolk County Mosquito Control for spraying and standing water treatments. This is July 10th. Who is this from? This is from Bill Hamilton. We have...
You have a letter from him in your, I gave a copy of everyone, his letter, because you requested each commissioner to get a copy.
This is the same letter, right? Everybody? So, we have had other comments from Mr. Hamilton.
What's the date of that email? Okay, yeah, that came in
July 10th.
earlier. That came in earlier, so I think that was probably addressed at the first
I
hearing.
think
The letter in your packet came in later. I think it's the
there
same
was
issue.
another one. Okay, so this is all been done. Okay, I don't think there's anything else. This is all,
Yeah, we don't have
Yes.
anything else since the
okay.
continuance, other than the
And
set
we
of
should
plans.
reference then the letter from Mr. Hamilton, which is where?
Was in your blue folder.
This is it, I think.
Yes, it is.
Just reference for the record, a letter addressed to the Conservation Commission, among others, August 21, 2023, from Mr. Hamilton. And he's concerned about what hardships will the residents of the town endure with the completion of this project. So I think it would just reference that it is on file. If anybody wants to read it in detail, they're welcome to come into the office and read this. It's the letter dated August 21. Okay. So, representing the applicant,
I'm David Hale with 55 SS LLC, and I'm here with Patrick Bogle of Howard Stein Hudson.
okay. What was... I think the question was, would you address the comments from the peer review for the benefit of the commission?
Sure. Why don't we just bring up a board?
Yeah, we'll just have to go with the boards tonight because I haven't learned the way to get things up on the television. We'll just, for the audience as well, since our board secretary is no longer with us.
Sorry to hear that.
So,
Just stick that in space for the stuff.
Yeah, we can kind of both go through a little bit. So the peer review kind of went through and looked at the changes as part of the modification. And the primary changes that were added as far as drainage infrastructure goes is going to be the 2 additional storm techs here and the infiltration pond that takes the runoff from the emergency access section. Tetra Tech had some additional tweaks they wanted to the infiltration rates since there wasn't directly under the system some of those institute testing that we did for the perk rates. And so we agreed with his analysis to change those to the 1.02, which had a small increase in the size from the past plans that you had seen there.
so that was the most conservative Rawls rate, and we thought that was a good way to deal with that situation, so we agreed to do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and these reflect the size that you see here, this one as well. And then you have the other notable change would be this section of the emergency access used to be 24 feet wide over the crossing, and then it would neck to the 20 feet. There's no additional development that's happening on this side other than the infiltration pond. So one of his comments was to maintain a 20-foot the entire way instead of a 20 to a 20-foot. So that has been reduced, and the subsequently the crossing has been slightly reduced as well, and then that's reflected throughout the plan set. Additionally, there is this, what do we call it, the wildflower seed mix, which is being proposed in the all throughout the cut areas that aren't proposed to be maintained as grass for like an access berm or something like that. And then we have the trail that's shown here, which one of his comments was, instead of having it come to the maintenance berm of the infiltration pond, as was previously shown on the approved plans, he wanted it extended all the way up to the emergency access. We've done that, as well as moved it outside of the 100-foot buffer.
And actually, Landis asked that we move it a bit away from the detention basin so people wouldn't throw their dog do in it.
Which we have done. We've also added 3 benches for viewing of wildlife, and the signs for pet waste and everything are over there as they were in the approved plan set. Those are the primary changes from the peer reviewer.
There were some other comments that he made. He had a question about the culvert under driveway D here. I think he was confused that it was originally a stream, and it wasn't. It was going to be just a drainage pipe that we agreed to make a culvert so critters could go through it.
Well, and drainage.
Yeah, drainage.
Yeah, it's sized, it's oversized, actually.
oversized.
We oversized it for the critters, you know, if they wanted to pass through, but no, it's not subject to mass stream crossing standards. And then, I know you had an email today about some of the restoration areas.
Can you just go back to the culvert crossing?
Sure.
So the culvert
Here.
crossing,
The second one you're talking about?
the one that was changed.
Yeah, it was, so basically, the alignment coming down here was ever so,
What sheet are we looking
that's gonna be on sheet 62, C62.
at? Okay.
Yep, so there was a ever so slight alignment change with the way that it curved in to try and, you know, reduce it from going, it used to go straight down to an intersection, basically. So we've realigned that to have more of a gentle curve, as well as reduced it, the overall width from 24 to 20 feet. So that is just adjusted within those stream crossing standards. We haven't actually changed the size of the culvert. It's still even more oversized now. So it hasn't been like reduced or anything.
You didn't change the design of the culvert?
It was a primarily just a shift, really.
It's just-
Yeah, but it was ever so slightly, a couple feet maybe, just to make sure that it lined up correctly with, you know, drainage patterns and whatnot, making sure the stream was correctly aligned. It was really just a small construction tweak. Yeah, other than that, I know you had that email, which kind of
Yeah,
stated.
just to go back to the basin, so
Mhm.
the two infiltration, the
Right here,
underground
right here.
infiltration units,
Yep.
so they were there before, but they're sized differently, is that?
So they were on your 620 plans. On this one, they're a little bit larger to reflect a
Were they
slow.
there before? So where's their test pits done for those?
So there are testing that's very close to there. I think there's like one that's 25 or 30 feet away, and one that's, you know, I think it's like 60 feet away from this one. So that was used to get a general elevation for seasonal high water table. You know, all those items get approximate soil types and whatnot. So that's where the agreed upon Rawls rate of 1.02, which correlates to a sandy loam.
And how about the basin? My understanding is there's not a test pit in the new basin.
This basin right here. There's actually two that are very, very close. There's one directly after the berm there, and then one that's at a similar elevation, but just to the left.
But not in.
They're not directly in. So what we had put on the plans, and you can see it's on note sheet, oh, I forget. It's on the sheet of just notes that have the specific, it's under grading and drainage. It's actually clouded in that plan set you have. I think sheet 5 maybe.
So why wouldn't you locate the basin where the test pits are?
So if you located the basins directly where the test pits, it wouldn't particularly make sense as far as drive aisles go, as far as drainage patterns go. So what we're proposing to do is do confirmatory testing to make sure that the design assumptions are correct prior to construction. And we'll submit an affidavit from the engineer that,
So you would do a test pit prior to construction?
Yep,
And
the-
have engineering out there?
Sure. yes.
We can. Okay.
And there's a full note in the plans there that kind of spells out exactly basically this conversation, so that prior to construction, the testing as well as the inspections of the bed bottom are performed. And then any,
I know there was a letter from the Tetra Tech reviewing the revised plans, but I haven't looked it over, so I don't know if there's any other questions or concerns, or,
So
it would have been nice if you guys had submitted this stuff to the commission and a letter or something summarizing the changes.
we,
That would have been helpful.
I acknowledge that. Okay. And we can do that. The only other thing that I can think of is that Tetra Tech questioned one aspect of the design of the subsurface structures, and me and Fairfield pressed Patrick to go back to the manufacturer to make sure that it was designed according to the manufacturer's spec, and we got the answer that that what Tetra Tech was questioning was not correct. So you do have to design these things the way the manufacturers want them designed.
Was that responded to?
Yes,
Tetra Tech?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So the other issue that in my report to the commissioners, and I also sent you an email, was when I was reviewing your plan, and the way that the replication areas were cited was based on the, density of development around the wetlands areas, of which you've moved some of the buildings.
Yeah, that was a good suggestion.
So there was, rather than putting, the slivers on both sides, that it seemed that you could redesign them so that they're on the,
This would be
like
moved
the-
to there.
right, the
and then
sides
this
where
would
there's
be
more
moved to
space, rather than sitting right next to buildings.
Seems like a good idea.
That's something you would
Yeah,
take it, and
Yeah.
you would die. I mean, when I was out there, I don't think there's really any topography that would prevent that, but obviously it would need to be observed that you could do that.
I don't see any reason why we can't do that. I think it's just a little bit of engineering.
Yeah, let's take a look and make sure that, obviously, that, I think it's supposed to be at like the same, same elevation, no larger obstructions, anything like that. So we'll just take a look and make sure that complies, and then we'll put it on the other side. I don't have an issue with that.
Sorry, I think those were my comments that I sort of melded into your presentation, but.
No, please interact if anyone wants to jump in.
Right, yeah, it was a little getting the plans kind of late and in small scale. And it's always helpful, especially when your amendment is not, it's in the whole body of all the plan set rather than separate sheets. You have to find them and figure out how they apply.
Okay. Bailey?
No questions.
Doug?
Just trying to get a sense of the total impervious surfaces here. Do I have it correct? There's a total of 216 units in this development?
268.
268. And when I look at the drawings, it doesn't look like there's enough parking for that many units, enough parking spaces. But I see that some of the units have underground parking.
Yep, they do. As we were also in the decision, had to maintain at least 1.88 spaces per unit, which we do comply. And there's a parking. I believe it's on the sheet you're looking on, the bottom left-hand side, that details the parking per side per type per unit.
So this does accommodate 1.8 parking spaces per unit.
Yes,
Did you say
1.88?
1.88. Yeah.
All right, I guess when you just look at the drawing, it doesn't look like there's enough parking spaces, but having parking spaces underneath the buildings, I guess.
Yeah. So buildings 1,000 and buildings 2,000 both have garage unders.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's the garages within the townhouse units, which also count towards that factor.
And people love the garage unders.
Yeah. Keeps them out of they don't have to chop the ice off their windshields.
Yeah.
Or
I
on
just
days
moved
like
in,
today.
To a place that has parking under.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I had.
Al?
My only thing is I have a comment that is a positive. It took a long time to get the walking path to connect to something on each end. And notice that it connects in 3 places, and that's even better. Okay, so the long battle to get the walking path to connect to something, aside from just the fact that it was there, I think is a positive. And I like the fact that the housing right next to the railroad line is eliminated. Because I've stood next to the railroad tracks when a train goes by, and I wouldn't want to live right next to the railroad tracks. So I think it was a smart move to do that. Okay, that's all I have to say.
That's it?
No comment, except it sounds like we're continuing until we see the replication areas. Is that your impression?
Is that,
I like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you're going back to the ZBA in October. Is that true? October something, 11?
11.
Yeah. So we meet again on the 27th, so you'll still be okay with that, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, that works.
continue until October 7th? Is that your suggestion?
Well, or you could.
27th,
to
September 27th.
27th,
Yeah, okay.
so right before they meet with ZBA.
Before we do
so
that, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record. Okay, hearing none, then we will continue the hearing until September 27th. What have we got on?
Nothing.
Okay, we'll make it 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, and if we could get the new replication area by then, is that?
Okay,
seems
Someone
doable.
want to make that a motion?
I'll move it.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Abstain, 500.
Thank you.
Okay, 502.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great, if you, yeah.
So, we have the, public hearing notice, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission, request for determination of applicability. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given the intent of Lou Petrozzi, Wall Street Development Corp., 9 Pinnacle Drive, map 19, lot 183 in Walpole, Mass., to perform annual maintenance, including cutting and/or clearing of brush and other vegetation. Plans for this request for determination of applicability are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:15 PM. All interested person requested to be present. And this is the one we request that,
Oh, sorry, this is the email I got from Mr. Petrozzi.
we have an email from Mr. Petrozzi dated September 12th. It looks like I have a scheduling conflict tomorrow night. I will be meeting with Westwood Conservation Commission tomorrow at 7:15. It would be appreciated if you could delay my appointment with the commission to last on the agenda tomorrow night. It would be tonight, so we'll continue this until Looks like we've got 7:30, the one that's,
7:30 is.
is the one that's going to continue.
So it could be 7:30.
So we'll continue this until, we're almost 7:30 now. We'll continue this till 8 o'clock this evening. Someone make that a motion?
I'll move to it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all 500. So we're,
Al, you seconded that?
Yep, I
Okay,
did.
thank you.
okay, so this is till, continue to 8 o'clock, right? Is there anyone in the audience that was for this hearing? No, okay.
Did that include the discussion?
Well, we won't do any discussion until he's here, so
Okay.
just keep that buried here.
You want to keep it buried?
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue to
West Street. West Street.
Okay.
I'm doing my outline thing.
I'm taking
You can do
some
it
of
too.
I'm taking some.
It's fine. We'll both do it.
I forgot paper. This is usually the
I have
back of my
paper.
agendas.
I have a lot of paper. Need paper? Oh, we're taking minutes.
Good paper? I have paper. Give me a piece of paper.
Oh, yeah, that's. Or I should have given you some.
Okay, so the discussion,
All right, if you need more, I'll give, here. With large here. Yeah, this-
Oh, no, I should be fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
so this is 350 West Street.
Yes.
Do I have something to read someplace?
There's nothing in there.
It may be, I haven't gotten there yet.
Can you read the last one?
Here it is.
I was gonna say, it's a continued hearing, so I think you have it. There it is. It just got buried.
Yeah, that's old, so I can leave that. Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission, amended order of conditions in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Sal Corp. Landscaping and Construction Corp. To amend the approved order of conditions, DEP number 315-1203, at 350 West Street, Walpole, Mass., for the modification to the stormwater basin in the front of the building, which is within the 100-foot buffer zone. The amended order of conditions, application and plans are filed with the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing and the above matter will be held in person August 9th, 2023, beginning at 7:20 PM. All interested persons requesting present, hearing's been opened and continued. We have
There should be a letter.
this, here's a letter from
From
Carl
Carl.
Bolduff.
Yeah, September,
1.
yeah.
That's an old one.
Yeah, so. A letter from Carl.
This goes. This is a letter from town engineer dated September 1, 2023. He has reviewed the plans and the site modification plan and the letter from William Buckley. Review the revised submittal information and offer the following. The letter of submittal describes the addition of 12 subsurface infiltration galleys to the drainage design. I do not find that to be the case, and note that the change appears to be the addition of one stick of 24-inch ADS N12 pipe to allow, or to each row of the underground infiltration system. Formerly, it was 3 rows of 11 pipe sections, and now it is 3 rows of 12 pipe sections. This is note on sheet 3 and agrees with the HydroCAD report. What's he saying here? On sheet 3, the label for the underground infiltration system needs to be changed from 660 feet of pipe to 720 feet of pipe. Subject to the above noted drafting changes, it appears that adding the extra pipes to underground infiltration system mitigates the increased volume derived from using the NRCC rainfall values. I'm satisfied with the revision. Okay. I guess you have a copy of this?
Yep, so we received a copy of that from Carl, and we made those revisions and resubmitted it back to Landis and Carl.
Go ahead, proceed.
So, good evening, everyone. For the record, my name's Cameron Graham with Bay Colony Group, represent the applicant, Salcorp. So, similar to what Carl said, the last time we went, we had a discussion about how the stormwater regulations have updated since this site plan was originally permitted. So in order to conform to the new stormwater regs, we went back and looked at the design of our basins to ensure that the flows from the higher rainfall won't cause the basin to overflow out into West Street. And we confirmed that we had to add that extra row of chambers in the infiltration system in the back. The infiltration basin in the front, we didn't have to adjust at all. And other than that, we didn't have anything to add.
Okay. Lynn?
Yeah, I spoke to Carl, and he's satisfied that the revisions addressed his comments and addressed the requirement to upgrade the system based on the RCC revised rain data. So everything seems to be in place.
Okay. Bailey?
No questions.
Doug?
No questions.
Al?
Okay, my question is, how does stormwater get to this new row of infiltrators?
So if you look back here, I have a proposed double catch basin. And then that feeds into a drain manhole, which feeds into my row of infiltration chambers there. So he chose a natural low area that's already on the site there.
So you're expecting all the rainfall in the back here to go to that one catch basin? Okay.
Yeah, so based off our topo that we did when we did the existing conditions, you can see that although it's not massive slopes going back there, that's where the water wants to go, sloping back to that area.
See, now, I have a problem with that because when I see all this flooding and washing out of drain systems and such, because the system can't handle the flow of rainfall. Okay, so I'm not satisfied that one catch basin for that whole area is sufficient. I would think you'd have more than one. So that's the only thing. I have no problems with anything else. I just have a problem with the size of conveyances that are supposed to carry this rain. Now, I've seen rain this week that wouldn't fit into a small pipe that would wash the pipe away before it would fit into it.
Yeah,
And you saw that if you watched the news at all for for Attleboro or Leominster, it just washed the pipes away.
Yeah.
Because the system couldn't handle it. Okay, so I think we missed the boat when we only have one catch basin for a system as big as that, so.
I understand
that's my
your
only-
concern. So the only thing I would have to add to that, I would say, is currently, right now, there's no drainage structures or anything in that back lot, and he hasn't had any issues.
Okay, That's my only comment.
It's a double catch basin,
Yep, yes, it's a double catch basin.
double catch basin. But one location, but two catch basins.
Okay, but does the pipe connecting that double catch basin, is that a double pipe or just a standard small pipe that would be there if it was a single catch basin? That's my
Since
only,
it's a
you know,
12-inch.
Yeah, it's a
12
12-inch.
well, maybe it needs two 12 inches, one for each part of the catch basin.
Yeah, so it's a double grate going, it's just the one structure, it's just a double grate on top of it to
Well, see,
allow.
That's what I'm getting at. It's, I think you're undersized there. You know, we're not looking at things that are happening the way it's always happened in the past. Everything that's happening now seems to be giant size, so
Yeah,
I think we have to look at those kind of things and make minor changes that would keep the system functioning.
Anything else, Al?
That's all.
Okay. Betsy?
No comment.
What is the material of that area?
so
Is that-
currently it's crushed millings that's compacted, so he uses it as a contractor yard, so he stores equipment. He's a landscaper, so he has numerous excavation things and stuff back there.
So it's compacted, so it's not, you wouldn't get a lot of infiltration?
Yeah.
No,
What area is that catch basin serving?
so it's catching everything from the back of the facility, so if you look at my contours here, you can see this contour right here is 165. So up by the building, I'm at 166. So everything is pitching towards this low area right here. So I have my catch basin where I thought was the most reasonable spot where all that storm water is already going anyways.
Okay, and that, I'm just wondering from Al's standpoint, is that, that 12-inch pipe, is that, could that be enlarged, or is that already large enough?
I think the 12-inch pipe is already large enough. So when I first did this original design, this site plan was permitted by Glosson Engineering. So his original design showed an infiltration basin essentially on either side of this site. So we just moved it over so that way it's one infiltration basin on this side, and rather than two separate ones, it's larger now to accommodate it. And also, Gloss's numbers were designed to the old stormwater standard regs, so now we're using the NRCC, which is a higher storm. So when I looked at it, this design is able to handle that 100-year storm without any stormwater leaving the site. So all the volume is going to retain on-site in terms of that back area, and it won't be overflowing into West Street or anything like that.
Okay? Al, do you have any,
I'm not going to say anything else. I've said enough.
if you were to add another catch basin, where would it be that it would meet your requirements? I guess that's the thing. This is at the low point in this
Yeah.
area.
Yes, so this is an existing structure with the existing lot back there, so this is where the client said that he has pooling water, and we could see that also with our topo when we went out there.
If it is slow taking that water, you've got, it's higher, okay, just under 165.
What was it?
It's 164.9,
Yeah,
the rim.
yeah, for the rim of my catch basin.
You've got 166 contour all around the back of the building.
Yeah, and then I have a whole bunch of spot grades back there just to show that it's actually going towards that area.
My point is, where would it go if it is slow taking that runoff? Where is that water gonna go?
So we designed it so that way, the 100-year storm, if it were to pool up, it's not going to overflow out of that back area.
It's still contained in the back area.
Yes, it's still contained in the
You
back
have a
area.
fairly large area
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, so this whole back area, it would have to really like, this is the high spot, I would say, in this area. So it'd have to get over there to get out on the West Street. It's the same thing over here. It only gets higher, so, but it would not be leaving that whole back area. Essentially, it's kind of a bowl within itself.
okay. Is that, you have that 166 contour all the way between the building and West Street? It looks like on the, what side?
That's my water bottle, sorry.
Wake everybody up.
So
Looking
it's
for-
up
Oh,
there in
there's
the
your
corner.
north.
Yeah, so the 1.6.
Outside of the building, is that 166 contour? This is very light here, I can't quite make it. Is that
Yeah,
166 contour go all the way across?
So this 166 contour goes like that and comes in, and then there's a peak right here, and the 166 contour picks up again back over here. It's along the whole front of the building. And then same thing over here. This 166 contour comes up and then loops back into the building there.
Okay, so you've got that whole area that could act as a pond if necessary.
Yes, essentially. So the,
Okay,
yes.
all right, okay. I think that should,
Yeah, I think it's
Take
a
care of
good
that.
point for maybe other sites.
Yeah.
I think for
I
this
think-
site itself, it's sort of self-contained.
I think the other thing that we have to consider is that we have to live with the specs that, for rainfall,
Yeah.
that are published,
Yeah.
even though we're seeing some different results. And unless we want to change them ourselves, but we can't, I don't think we can impose that on a specific case situation without making it a general policy. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. Yes, Doug?
Just a quick question. I see on the drawing there's some underground gas tanks. Is there any more information on what that's all about? How big are those?
I'm not entirely sure. So we came into this, like I said, after they have already had an improved site plan, and he didn't build the drainage exactly to that site plan, and he wanted to change things. So we went out there and did our existing conditions, and I really just looked at the drainage.
Okay.
So I think it's over on the south side, right, you're talking?
Yeah, on the left side of the drawing I'm looking at. Landis, do you know anything about those? Underground gas tanks?
No, because this is just an amendment for the stormwater system, so
okay.
I don't remember from the original plan.
I would think that would have been addressed
Previously.
originally,
Okay.
and if there's, I think, was that fire department jurisdiction for buried tanks like that?
Usually, yes.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Okay. So make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500. Thank you.
Thank you.
No hiccups, huh?
Yeah, I went to, all
Yeah.
This might be it here. Let me see. We don't all have one of these.
So I don't have any additional conditions to say for this amended order.
So what do we do, just reference the plan in paperwork?
Yeah, we just fill out the order conditions, check the amended box, and so the regular order still stands. Well, any
Yeah.
conditions that are in the regional order still stands. It's just, the amendment is just a change in the stormwater system.
Do we have to, so there's nothing to sign?
No, there's something to sign.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just thought there was a discussion on the
Um,
orders.
Okay, we need to, we've closed the hearing, we need to vote to issue the amendment.
Correct.
Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor? Aye, 500.
So that was, no, it wasn't.
No.
That's coming up. Okay, so amended orders, that was Betsy and Al,
Yep.
Yes.
500. There you go. There's two sheets there. The rainers at the end.
It's rain.
Rain.
As long as that's all it is.
Crazy rain.
It's pouring.
Yeah.
Do you want me to close the window?
Well, it's getting a little cool.
Okay.
The air on.
All right, so I believe this is our only document.
I got one here.
Oh, okay. But we don't have a big
On our
plan.
agenda here.
Yeah, we have a plan.
We do. Where is it?
Continued, we did 350 West Street.
Oh, okay.
That's what
What do we got? South Street. Colony.
You got that thing to sign.
Absolutely. Hopefully, whoever's presenting has a.
All right, I signed it in the wrong place because Al's name is, I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna fix it.
That wasn't,
It hasn't been adjusted yet. Damn.
Well, I'll sign where,
You, and then you can write Al Getz right there.
yeah.
what are we looking for? The-
I was looking for the ad. I
Yeah.
don't think it's in here.
What is this for?
South Street
Is this the notice of intent?
and a land disturbance.
The land disturbance permit.
You're not signing the ad?
I can read it. I have, it's small, so,
You think I
and
can't
it's on
see
my
it?
phone. I can barely see it.
Go ahead.
Notice of intent, land disturbance permit, Conservation Commission public hearing in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the Stormwater Erosion Control Bylaw. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Maria Musto of Arcadia Brothers LLC of Hyde Park, Mass. to construct at 126 South Street, map 33, lots 135 and 136, a 12,000 square foot warehouse, driveway, parking lot, and associated drainage and utilities within a portion of the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetlands and a portion of the riverfront area to the Neponset River. The notice of intent applications and plans are on file at the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on September 13th, 2023, beginning at 7:20. All interested persons are requested to be present. Contact Conservation Agent.
Okay.
That's it.
I don't see anything in here to read in, no comments. It's in the-
There's no comment letter from,
I don't see anything.
Carlos was doing it. He did a late, he did. Did you get a copy of that?
Yeah, so I got it. I haven't had a chance to look through it
You
yet.
haven't had a chance to look. Okay, well, can, I have it on my phone if you want.
Rain jacket in the car.
Oh, no, it's delayed and I didn't start.
Okay, this is from Town Engineer dated September 13th. Reviewed the report and the plans. Conjunction with the conservation, I have reviewed, revised submittal information and offer, okay. I witnessed test pits for drainage on 5/31/23. Observed that the soil textures and determination of groundwater. These observations are consistent with what is listed in the stormwater report and systems and shown on the plans. In general, the soil, I'm getting messages here. In general, the soils are well suited for infiltration and the stormwater systems are designed well above estimated seasonal groundwater. Almost all storm water is contained and infiltrated, which is a solid design. North arrows to be shown. Okay, cover sheet. Notes to be added indicating the plans are being filed with Conservation Commission, etc. Existing conditions plan, drafting is screened to be very light and difficult to read. Typically, screening is only used underneath proposed conditions. Vertical datum should be identified. Second benchmark should be added. Sheet 3. Define parking lot high points. Provide spot grades at bottom and top of curb for parking spaces. On the southerly end of the building, provide additional spot grades along the southerly curb line and make sure all corners have grades.
This existing?
A proposed riprap apron, curb line is in reality an engineered slope. Provide a reference to a detail and provide a detail for this slope. Provide a reference for detail and provide the detail for wall on the northeast corner. Provide 10 feet access around top of detention basin on the west and north side, and the grading side for access, adjust proposed fence to just proposed fence to accommodate access. Recommend relocating dumpster pad at the east of the building to improve turning movement northerly units. Drain and utility plan, recommend not screening proposed grading. Show invert of drain line from surface, basin at level spreader. Label DMH number 1. Label the subsurface infiltration systems as 5 rows with 4 20-foot sections of 24-inch ADS pipe or similar wording. Listing the bottom and top elevations of the system should be helpful. Provide overflow for underground infiltration system and provide detail for the inverted Ys for downspout connection should the pipe and the system become overwhelmed. Question the need for forebay in the surface infiltration basin. Stormwater calculations utilize entire bottom footprint of basin for infiltration. It would appear TSS removal is performed by sweeping BMP deep sump catch basins and water quality unit. The basins recharge much more volume than required in the water quality volume calculations. We have a lot more here. Have you seen this?
So I didn't have a chance to review it yet.
This was dated
They
today.
sent it out very late. 'cause I didn't
So there are-
notice it,
Yeah.
so There's
There's another page,
there's
and
items
I,
that need to be addressed.
so I think we'll just reference the rest of this and that you will look and address these issues.
Yep.
Stormwater management plan. In the summary for subcatchment 25, sub-area DA for all proposed storms, revise the calculation so that the footprint of retained water in surface infiltration basin is modeled as impervious. The operation and maintenance plan post-construction needs to be revised to include inspection of the subsurface infiltration system, provide guidance regarding the use and exercising of the shear gate in the surface basin outlet control structure. Should require mowing of the surface infiltration basin at least once a year. Okay, there was more in there, so I think that was enough at this point. You understand there's some issues you have to address.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we plan on continuing, so that way we can address all these issues.
Okay, so, proceed.
Okay, so good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Again, for the record, my name's Cameron Gray. I'm with Bay Colony Group. I'm here tonight on behalf of Acadia Brothers LLC to discuss the notice of intent that was submitted for the project at 120 and 126 South Street. So the property lies on the east side of South Street. It consists of 2 parcels that total about 1.27 acres. The parcels contain an existing single-family home, which I can show you right there, at 126 South Street, and there's also a large commercial building that's in disrepair at 120 South Street. So it starts over here and continues along this whole area over to there.
Excuse me, what sheet are you referring to there?
So this is the existing condition sheet, sheet 2.
Sheet two, okay. Just as you progress, if you change sheets, let us know what you're looking at, what sheet you're referring to.
Okay, no
Go
problem.
ahead.
So the Neponset Reservoir lies, the Neponset River lies about 200 feet to the east and north of the property. So if you look in the top right corner of the sheet, you can see the Neponset River right here. So Park Corporation went out and delineated the wetland flags as well as the bank flags, and they're located by this firm in an on-the-ground survey. So I didn't highlight it on the sheets that were given to the commission, but I highlighted on mine up here. We have the associated 100-foot buffer, which I've highlighted in yellow here. And then I have the associated 200 riverfront area, which I've highlighted in orange. So you can see that a portion of this existing building, as well as this paved area, and he kind of has a crushed asphalt / gravel area at the back of this building is all within the riverfront area, as well as within the 100-foot buffer area. This site also has a base flood elevation. So located at the back of this facility is the town rail trail. So this is a gravel trail going along the back of it here. So on the east side, the base flood elevation is about 169. And then on the western side, the base flood elevation is at 160. Our site is well above both of these elevations. So that data was compiled from the Zone AE delineation on the FEMA flood insurance rate maps.
Where would the north arrow go if there was one?
So I'd probably put it right at the top left.
Okay, which way is north?
So it's facing north right now, straight up and down.
Okay.
So I'll go to sheet 3 now. So our client is proposing to demolish and remove all existing structures, debris, and pavement from the site and construct a 12,000 square foot building along with the associated parking, grading, and utilities. A portion of this work will take place within that 100-foot buffer zone and riverfront area. It is in our opinion that the redevelopment would fall under the Wetlands Protection Act under section 10.58, which would allow the redevelopment of a previously developed riverfront area. I could go through those and show how we conform to that if anyone would like me later. No work is proposed beyond the area of the site that is currently developed. And I'd like to point out that, so you can see again, I have my orange riverfront area as well as my buffer line. And we're proposing a very small amount of impervious area now, as opposed to the existing conditions that are out there. So the proposed building will be about 133 feet from the wetlands and 239 feet from the riverfront, where the existing building sat about 87 feet from the wetlands and 160 feet from the river. The proposed paving / degrading area will be about 91 feet from the wetlands and 191 feet from the riverfront area. The existing paving and degraded area is about 84 feet from the wetlands and 134 feet from the riverfront area. So both are improvement on the existing conditions currently out there. So there are no stormwater structures on the property currently, so all runoff just sheet flows off the property. So we're proposing a stormwater system that will capture the runoff from the roof of the new building and pipe it directly into a new subsurface infiltration system. I don't have it on sheet 3, but if you glance on sheet 4 real quick. You can see my roof infiltration system in the back left corner
Excuse me,
here.
if you'd rather move closer or whatever to, go ahead.
So you can
No,
come
we don't.
closer, bring your chair. Slide your chair.
Sit wherever is more convenient for you.
And are those plans there that they can look at?
Yes, they were dropped off.
You should unroll them.
No, those are summer.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, go ahead,
Okay,
sorry.
no problem. And then the parking lot will be directed into a surface infiltration basin. So that is located, if you look in the center of the sheet, right up here. So the system has been sized to accept all storms up to and including the 100-year storm without discharge. So no stormwater will discharge from the site. The site will be serviced by municipal water and sewer from South Street, and we have established an erosion and sediment control program to mitigate the impacts to the nearby resource areas as detailed on the site plan and stormwater report. That concludes my presentation.
Okay. Landis.
Yeah, so I was sitting, Carl and I sat together and went over some of the items that was in his report that we would like to be addressed. I sent an email with some of the items prior to talking to Carl. Just as far as the plans, the wetland resource areas really need to be brought up. So they're
Okay.
darker, since that's what we're looking
Yep, on
at.
the existing conditions plan.
Yeah, and then also, I think the degraded riverfront area is 5,198 square feet. And the riverfront area is a little more than that. So just if you put it within the riverfront area, what you're calling degraded and what you're not calling degraded,
Okay,
with a different pattern, so that, you know, specifically.
okay,
Yeah, 87 square feet of pavement you're adding. And then the report also made reference to a restoration plan, and I know DEP also commented this on their form. So can you show on the plan where that restoration area is occurring also, so it's clear? By indicating a different pattern or what you're actually planning, the plans?
so if no one's been out to the site yet, if you come to this back area here, it just looks like someone's been going back there and just dumping leaves there for years. So we were just proposing to clean up that area and put in the conservation seed mix. But I'll make sure we can hatch that so that way you can
There's
actually,
actually been issued an enforcement order in the past to clean up that back area.
okay.
So I don't know if that's exactly restoration,
Yeah,
more like enforcement.
yeah.
So you might think a little bit about, is there some other way that you can improve the riverfront area with additional plantings that would, you know, if there's any invasives out there that you could take out and also plant something else? That's always helpful.
Okay,
So I would just look into that a little bit more. So your rainfall data, I just noticed that the NRCC extreme precipitation estimates were slightly different than the chart, and I was just curious as to why.
yeah, so I thought I had the right data in there. Bill actually just forwarded me your comments not too long ago, so I didn't have a chance to,
Yeah, I think yours are pretty much there. They were just slightly different, so I was just wondering why it was slightly different.
okay,
So just that. And I think Carl also, because we talked about the detail of the retaining wall.
yep,
And the stormwater management plan, just to include a compost sock as the erosion control with the orange construction fence. And usually the commission wants a 25-foot, minimum 25-foot construction entrance pad. And how are you gonna handle construction stormwater? Are you gonna use the proposed permanent basin, but use it as a temporary basin and then refinish it as a permanent basin? Or,
so honestly, Bill went through this a lot more than I did, so
Yeah.
I'd have to just address that with him.
that's right, yeah, if you could just, add those comments.
Okay.
And to the list of things that Carl wants to be revised.
Okay.
Okay. Bailey?
Are there, sorry if I'm missing it, I'm going through it quickly. Are there any no alteration plaques on the fences or proposed?
No, I didn't show any.
Maybe we could have some no alteration plaques if there's been issues of dumping in the past?
Yeah, we should probably have some, I guess, along those lines, is there any, we have a 25-foot no disturb area. Is any of your activity within the 25 feet of the wetland?
No, so I know it's hard to see on your plan, but the 25-foot no disturb is all on the other side of this gravel trail back here, so it's off our property.
You do have it on?
Yes, I do have it on there, it's just very hard to see.
Okay. What sheet's that on?
So it's on the existing conditions sheet. It's The dotted line,
What sheet number?
sheet 2.
So the property line is at the rail trail, right?
Yep, so it's a layout from the railroad company, so this is my property line back here.
Yeah, okay, so,
So the wetlands are off.
Wetlands are
off-site,
off.
and the
Yeah,
rail
so my
trail-
wetlands are off-site, and they're on the other side of that rail trail and down a slope.
I'm not sure where you would.
I don't
relax.
see, so I think plaques wouldn't really be applicable on this, on this application. But, yeah, it wouldn't, okay.
Yeah,
Anything
so
else,
we
Nope,
Barry?
no more comments, thank you.
Doug?
The only thing, just want to mention, looks like some typos on sheets 3, 4, and then the last 5 pages. It shows the scale is 1 inch equals 20 inches. I think that's 20 feet. It says on page 3,
Yeah.
3 and 4, and then the last 5 pages all have the scale. It's just a typo. That's all I noticed.
Anything else, Doug?
That's it.
Okay. Al?
Well, first of all, I'd like to see the lines for the wetland and the riverfront so that you can see them. These, I don't know what's the matter with their printer or their computer system, but that's the important part of this plan, and I don't see it. And then on sheet 4, we have a dark L shape, and I don't know what that is. There's no label that says,
It's the retaining wall, Al.
well, it doesn't say that. And
Should say it,
So it
And
says it
what's-
on sheet
What's the
3.
retaining wall made of?
So it's those stone-strong blocks. So I show the detail, I show it in more detail on sheet 3 if you turn to that.
Okay, so I want to see the important lines dark enough so that you can find them. And I see the surface stormwater and the below-ground stormwater, and I'm not going to question Bill's arithmetic as to what the size is of them, but again, I'm concerned about the size of piping and the size of stormwater systems. I've always been, and I emphasize that again here, especially since it's right next to the river, and, you know, even though it's only a small corner in the 200-foot riverfront, I consider that pretty close. And we know that the rivers around here do overflow their banks. But I want to see these important lines on the next set of drawings so we can really find them.
Okay.
And on the existing conditions sheet, if the intention is to demolish this, all these buildings that are on there, it doesn't say that. I think it should give us a clue, because we look at sheet 2, and you see all these buildings, and then you look at the sheet 4, and you see a different building, but you don't know where that different building goes in relation to what has been there in the past. Okay, so I know this is right next to the river, and it's not far from the senior center and the police station. So it's a location that's going to be in everybody's eye. Everybody's going to see it. And I want to make sure that we're not making a mistake here and have somebody jump all over you and all over us. So let's start with drawing the important lines of weight that we can see them. And I know that Bill has capacity to do some things in color, so maybe some of it has to be colored so you can pick it out if that's what's necessary.
Okay.
So that's my only criticism right at the moment, because I haven't had a chance to really figure out what's going on here.
Okay.
And if all this is going to be demolished, we haven't discussed how it's going to be demolished and where it's going, and
Or demo plan.
Okay.
I didn't want to put it that way, but
Yeah.
you know.
I thought about that too, I forgot to write it in my notes.
So I think that that's the first thing, is on that existing sheet, condition sheet, it ought to give us a clue that that's what's going to happen here, that you're going to take all this stuff down and out of here and start with a new clean site. So let's put the cards on the table and let everybody know that that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's where I'm at today.
Okay. Betsy?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good segue to me, because you do want to start with a new clean site. There's a long history of industry along South Street, including in this area. Currently, what's going on in this immediate area suggests that there could possibly be pollutants in the soil, chemicals in the soil. So what's been happening so far with you testing for chemicals in the soil that are potential pollutants that could go into the water system? Or what are your plans for doing that? Maybe once you've demolished the site, you need to do those kind of test pits to make sure that there are not things in the soil that,
Yeah, so that's something I would have to review. So we've just gone out and done our preliminary test pits for our stormwater, just so that we can get our soils types and figure out where groundwater is so we can do our design.
so you're planning to do that? Given, and you've been out to the site, so you
Yes,
see
I've
that it would be
seen-
a little strange not to. I mean, you've got, junk vehicles, maybe leaking oil. So the plan is to do that?
I'm not sure, but I can I'll make a note of it to make sure that it is addressed at some point.
Yeah, if there's an environmental assessment, I think the commission would love to have a copy.
Okay.
And when you demolish the buildings, what's underneath them? I mean, what people used to pour things down drains the way we're not allowed to anymore, or just dump things on the floor. And the buildings are in pretty poor shape.
Yeah,
The whole site just seems to warrant some strategic test pits to see what all, might still be there. Then
Okay.
you really will have a clean site. Then you start with a clean site and you can proceed.
okay,
It's right next to a Superfund site where we built our senior center after it got cleaned up. So, kind of gives you an idea what South Street was like at one point.
I understand. Yeah, that's how it is. I know what you're saying.
Anything else, Betsy?
Not at the moment.
Okay. On sheet 4.0, you got, you show an outlet control structure from your retention basin, and then that goes to there's an, what are we calling it? A spreader, a level spreader to the property line. So you're collecting the water in this basin,
Yeah,
and then it's gonna discharge, so that's gonna discharge on abutting property. Is that
So-
correct?
yes, but we have that basin designed that under extreme circumstances, it might discharge, but all the stormwater is supposed to be retained on site.
Okay, I'm just wondering what the abutting property owner will say if you're discharging that off your property onto their property.
Okay,
Jack, is that property's a whole lot lower, isn't it? As I
They've
recall,
got, yeah, your contours are, it's going downhill, yes.
plummets downhill.
So I would, basically, whatever's flowing off the property, onto that property now, you can continue that, because that's the
Yeah,
existing
so there's
condition.
no stormwater structures existing out here right now. So currently, it is sheet flowing down onto their property. If you
But-
go over to that part of the site, it's a significant
Right.
drop down to theirs.
But if you're now collecting the water in this, and then you do get the overflow, what is the increase in the rate that's going to the abutting property?
I don't have
Point
a,
is, are you increasing the flow rate to the abutting property?
yeah, so I would have to review my stormwater report
Okay,
just
That
to,
needs to be verified, that you are not sending any more water to the abutting property than goes there now.
okay,
Right,
Okay.
rate or volume.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, I think just to enforce that we need to be able to read these plans, so they need to be clarified,
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened when we made the PDF,
whatever.
but
So, anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record.
But you have to come up to the
We
microphone.
need to, yeah, you're on TV, so you gotta,
And sign in, please.
and please identify yourself for the record.
I'm Josette Burke, and I live at 94 South Street. I have the Neponset River in my backyard. I've been there about 60 years. We're living in my husband's great-grandparents' home. So after the senior center, we're the next house on the left-hand side. And my husband's grandmother's house was the one next to us. And then you have two more houses, and then you have the site. Over the years, and exactly as Landis and Betsy have said, we have had stain companies, we have had automotives in there. I'm the chairman of the Council of Aging, and I am on the Finance Committee here. And I have been very involved since 1980 with Robin doing the EPA to get that site cleared, to be able to rebuild on it. At one point, there was 15 to 20 vehicles parked in the front that were confiscated by the sheriff's department. This is the history. And they ended up coming back from Rhode Island. And they sat there for the better part of 10 years in the front, 15 to 20 trucks, not counting the vehicles that have been in the back, that you still have. I haven't walked the trail of late, but there was at least 2 vehicles back there that have been there probably 15 years. And it's not so much leaves back there, but the contractors that were involved up there, that was their dumping ground. So at one point, we actually had tubs, toilets, showers, and nobody really bothered with it because you couldn't see it from the street. But now that we have the senior center and we have the walking trail, it's more visible, exactly as has been said. And all the empty wood and stuff, I'm not sure if this all comes under the breath of what you're discussing tonight, but there's a lot of wood that has been left at the back of the building deteriorating. It's been there over 10 years. And it's not the owner now, it's not all of his concern, but unfortunately, like many things like this, you're the last person to own it, you become responsible for it. So there's a good 50, 60 years of history of abuse, and conservation has changed over those periods of time, what the needs and such are. I would be very concerned, as Landis brought up and as Betsy brought up, of the soil conditions. My other concern is the house to the right that you're taking down. Is that limited manufacturing? Is it general residence?
I believe it's all the zone district changes in the back.
Because my home is zoned for limited manufacturing. The house next to me is general residence. So there's inconsistency with the markings of what the areas are as far as zoning. And that's not your issue in here, but it's something you should be aware of if you are not.
Okay.
Okay? I honestly feel that once you have that clean slate, the process to get to there is going to be multi-stepped. And hopefully, it will be able to be done effectively and efficiently, because to have what you're proposing is a vast improvement over what is there. So I'm not finding fault with the program that you're putting out there, but to get from where it is now to that stage, there's a lot of severe oversight that has to be done by all of the boards that are going to be involved within this process. And I don't know. Drew lives directly across the street from it. He hasn't had as many years into it, but it's an issue. It's an issue. And the water coming out of there down the street, like with the weather we have the last couple of days, especially today, it just flows with all the sand and stuff. So to be able to put a stop on that would be really good, I think, as far as conservation goes, to be able to contain all that water, not knowing what contaminants may or may not be within the grounds there. But it has to, in my opinion, having gone through the EPA and all of this since 1980 to get the buildings on South Street to come down, and then to get the covenant to rebuild what we have there now between the police department and the Council of Aging, I think it would be remiss for this new project that you are contemplating doing to be done appropriately and up to the guidelines of today's rules and regulations. Okay?
Thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else comment? Again, you want to go up to the microphone, please?
Can't compete at 60 years of experience.
Yes, you can. You want to come up?
Sure, just for a second.
You have to sign that.
Oh, absolutely. Hi, I'm Drew Womack. I live at 113 South Street. I'm a direct abutter. I'm straight across the street from the entrance to this. Like she was saying, with her 60 years experience, my piddly 10 years of experience, it's always been an eyesore. Anything that can be done to change it to something that's usable would be an absolute dream. It would increase the area, as far as keeping the rivers clean in the area and the runoff controlled would be amazing. And it says that it's a, commercial building? Does it?
Yep.
Is that as general as it can get, or?
So we have it as a flex building, so it's what you see a lot now in all the industrial parks. It's 6 individual contractor bays, so it could be up to 6 individuals, or it could be subbed all out as one individual.
Perfect, understood. That's gonna be, you're gonna have to worry about, use and stuff like that for the zoning. But she was saying that there's a, residential area on the other side, so
Yeah.
it's a mixed zone. You'll have to.
Yeah,
It's
so I have
it's a
the,
big hurdle you're gonna have to face. And as far as what's being done in there as to, how they're going to, how they're gonna dispose of whatever waste that they create. Because, right now, she was talking about how the contractors are going in there every day, to this day. They're still going in there and dump. Oh, absolutely, yeah, I've got them on video. talked to the guy the other day. I yell at him across the street. So, yeah, it's still ongoing
Okay.
as far as that. So, I mean, a sign, a post, at least tell them that they, shouldn't be doing it, can't do it. I really don't have anything else to add.
Okay. Now, I think the site would definitely have to be reviewed for whatever contaminants might be on the site and proper disposal of whatever is removed. It just needs to be records kept of that.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Anyone
just-
else?
Just to add, I believe it's going through the planning board for site plan review as well, so if
Yes, it
there's
is.
other questions about traffic and lighting and parking and all that, it's going
Yes,
before the,
next month.
the planning board.
Yeah, next one.
Okay. Thank you. We will continue this. Our next meeting is September 27th. Is that time
So,
enough for
I-
you?
We wanted to continue it, I think, to the first one in October. We're going to be meeting with the planning board October 5th, I believe.
What is it? Separate?
Was it?
What date is it?
October 7th, I think.
I thought it was 11.
Sounds more like it.
Okay.
11th, yes. First week is the 4th, the second week is the 11th.
Okay, so we'll continue this till October 11th, and we don't have anything on at this point?
That's correct.
So we'll continue this till 7 PM on October 11th. Someone make that a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And what else do we have? Let's,
Oh, we have North Street, you just,
we're
they're
gonna
asking
continue,
for.
continuance. We'll do that first.
We'll get there.
I need to take a break.
Okay.
I want to stand up. That sounds like a great idea.
Contagious.
What's going on, Mike? How you feeling, all right? Okay. Good, good for you.
See. Oh,
What is
wait a
this?
minute, there it is. Oh,
Surprise.
they're dropping like flies. Yeah, really.
Town of Walpole, notice of intent, Conservation Commission, public hearing. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given the intent of John and Ellen Serhant, 410 North Street, map 17, lot 71, Walpole, Mass., to construct a proposed driveway within a 100-foot buffer zone. Notice of intent, application, and plans are filed at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on September 13, 2023, beginning 7:30 PM. All interested person request to be present. Do we have a request here?
And email.
Is this it?
Yep.
Okay, that's okay. This is a email dated September 8th requesting a extension. This is, I have a wetlands consultant updating things in view of the riverfront. I respectfully request continuance to your next meeting, which would be, you think he can be ready by September 27th? Did you get any indication?
I think so, yes.
Okay. All right, so they're asking for continuance, so we'll continue this until September 27th. We have something on.
Summer Street, you just continue.
7:10?
At
How
7
about
o'clock.
7:10?
Well, if we're doing Summer Street, we'll make it, that's all we have, right? You don't have any?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would do it
I think
7:10.
it's, 7,
7:10 anyway,
seven.
this stuff happens.
So, okay, we'll continue this till 7, till September 27th at 7:10. Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500.
Okay.
7:10 on September 27th.
27.
Okay, continue. Okay. All right, get rid of that. And now, where is this one? Okay. Public hearing notice, Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Conservation Commission requests for determination of applicability in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Lou Petrozzi, Wall Street Development Corp., 9 Pinnacle Drive, map 19, lot 183 in Walpole, Mass., perform annual maintenance, including cutting and/or clearing of brush and other vegetation. Plans for this request for determination of applicability are on file at the Conservation Commission office. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person August 9th, 2023, beginning 7:15 p.m. All interested persons requested to be present. It's been opened, continued. We opened it earlier this evening, continued it to 8 o'clock this evening. It is now 8:37. And representing the applicant,
Yes, sir. Lou Petrozzi for Wall Street Development Corp. Sorry I'm late.
it's okay, we had other things to do, so we,
Sorry I missed the last meeting. It's a very busy time. So what are we discussing first, the request for determination?
that's what's on the agenda, yes, is the determination.
So as you may recall, we've got our project that we're in the process of designing. And we are, it's necessary for us to go on the site to do various testing, soil testing, surveying, other things that are necessary to finalize plans. And since we've last met, I've submitted this plan at Landis's request to identify the various buffer zone areas. This is the 50-foot buffer, 100-foot buffer, and I think the riverfront area is on here somewhere. But since we met, I've been on the property and we've cut the brush that was quite frankly overgrowing the property that is necessary for us to get into these areas. What I've identified here is the areas where the soil testing for stormwater management is required, and also some test pits along the upper portion of the property where the proposed roadway will go. If you folks remember, you've been on the property, these are areas where lots of dumping has taken place, and it's important for us to find out what's underneath the areas that have been dumped. So we've identified these areas, and we've actually provided access to those areas similar to this particular sort of highlighted plan that I've submitted. So one of the things that's happened since that time is that, Wall Street has taken for granted the fact that this access has always been available historically for people to walk into the property off of Rose Court. But it's not wide enough for us to get equipment into the property to do these testing. It was wide enough for us to get a brush clearing type of machine, rubber-tired machine, to get into the property and do what we need to do. But essentially, whether it's neighborhood objection or we don't own these strips of land that go across the back and across the sides here, so we've created our own access from Pinnacle Drive that's in this general location, outside the riverfront area, so that we can access the property with equipment that we need to get onto the property. So that's pretty much what's happened since we last met. Of course, you probably are aware that tomorrow we're having site walk on the property, and it was important for us to clear that brush in order to provide visible evidence of what's existing on the property right now. So if you've been on the property, this whole area is all much paved over, a concrete floor of the buildings that were there previously. So, and then this area here is all dumped material that's remnants of the previous buildings that were there. So, so for the most part, the only thing that remains to be done is to get on the site to do the soil testing with a little bit larger machine than what was anticipated before, with an excavator to move along the property and dig these holes. And it may be necessary to, I don't know if you folks are familiar with a machine with a hammer, hydraulic hammer on it, to break through the concrete to actually expose the material underneath the concrete. So it's a little bit more complicated than what I first thought, but it has to be done in order for us to prepare our plans. So that's pretty much it for this particular
Okay,
aspect.
Landis?
So you submitted an RDA for 9 Pinnacle Drive with requesting the commission to make a determination if the area depicted on the plan is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act, and if the proposed work is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. You stated 10.02 to B2C, vista pruning for minor activities at least 50 feet away from the mean annual high water line of the riverfront area or bordering vegetative wetlands, or 10.02 to B2G, activities that are temporary in nature for planning and design purposes. And you were waiting for a determination from the commission on this RDA. In the meantime, well, I went out on September 2nd and noticed that you had gone out and already and cleared areas. Is that what this plan is supposed to be? areas
Well,
that you.
not necessarily, you know, and then I subsequently had sent an email saying that we were doing the work under, the activities under 10.584, which provides an exemption for structures, improvements, including parking lots and other things that are already in existence in the riverfront area. So I think the activity that we've done is all permitted under the regulations.
The question was, is this the
Wasn't that a
plan?
termination, isn't that what that's for?
So
Is
is this the plan? This is the plan of the approximate locations where the soil testing will be done.
Okay. Is that,
So I don't remember getting that plan. I did get
You didn't get this?
that drawing, the blue drawing? No, I don't remember
I
the
don't-
blue
you
drawing.
know.
The other plan I think you had up, I think you sent me digital, but I didn't get copies from the
Oh,
commissioners, so none of the commissioners have that.
Okay.
But my question is, you submitted an RDA
At your
to ask the
suggestion.
commission to make a determination if what you were doing under these sections of the Wetlands Protection Act, and you didn't wait for the determination,
Well,
you just.
That's right. Well, Yes.
let Landis finish. Okay, anything else?
Right, so I just wanted to bring that point up, and it's hard to tell, if you don't have a plan of the actual areas that you've cleared. And again, my experience with over 30 years of experience doing this job is when developers or engineers go out to a site to do test pits, they take the machine out there, make a path, get to the area they want to do test pit, do a test pit, go to another area, do a test pit, and do minimum damage to the resource area, which is what they have to meet to be allowed to go under that planning and design section of the Wetlands Protection Act. I didn't see evidence of test pits when I went out there, I just saw evidence of clearing.
Well, may I speak? So,
Anything else? at
No,
this
that's
point?
it.
No. Go ahead.
so it was never anticipated that, you know, I understand what you mean when an excavator goes out and knocks down trees and goes wherever he has to go to dig a hole. This wasn't the situation on this site. This is a site that's completely overgrown with, I'll call it invasive species all over the place. It wasn't the type
The
of,
riverfront area with vegetation.
let me speak. So it was never anticipated that the same machine that was going to do the brush clearing, which I provided a photograph of, was going to be the same machine at the same time that would do the excavations for the test pits. Never meant to be a one-day scenario. It meant to be, this work takes a day to do to get what we needed to get cleared. And then, based on the conditions that were uncovered with the brush that was there, it was determined that all of these areas are all pavement, which required a much larger machine to break through. We don't even know how thick the concrete is there. So we haven't done the testing yet. The reason why we moved proactively to do this work is because of the meeting that we have tomorrow with the presiding officer to observe the property, and it was not passable for anybody to walk the property prior to us doing this. There was a little bit of a path, but it's not passable, not walkable to get to the areas that were necessary to be observed during tomorrow's session. So I took it upon myself, based on the regulations, to clear the brush in the areas and give us a path out to the beachfront area there where the concrete benches are. And since we had some pushback from people on Rose Court and these neighbors about accessing this with larger equipment, we constructed our own access onto the property to get to the back side of the property from Pinnacle Drive. And that's what's the activity that's taken place to date. So at some point, we're gonna go onto this property with an excavator, I'm not quite sure of the size yet, to do these test pits. And depending on the ultimate design that is come up with regard to the development of the site, there may be a necessity to go out on the property again to do additional soil testing. So that's kind of where it stands at this point.
Okay. Did you get a request from the administrator, or whatever his title is, to clear any of this area?
Oh, we got notification that they were going to do a site visit, and they wanted to look at the areas that were in question regarding the historic mill
But
complex.
they didn't ask you to clear?
No, I took it upon myself. Nobody told me what to do. I did it
I just
myself.
wondered if there
Right.
was any
Yeah.
specific request
Yeah.
that
Well,
that area be cleared. Okay. Bailey, any questions at this point?
Just clarifying, this is the one that has the really steep drop-off behind it, is that correct?
so there are two, in back of lot 15 Pinnacle, where we got
The other one.
the order of conditions, that had the very steep drop-off that you were there.
Yep.
This also has a very steep drop-off, too.
So how are you getting your machines
Down?
down that steep?
Well, we
drop?
cut it down. We cut it so that it's like probably a 3-to-1 slope instead of a
Okay.
1-to-1 slope. So if you, I didn't bring a photograph, but it's a ramp. It's really ramped down so that when you get to this point, you still have to jump a bit down these contours to get to the actual flat area. So it's still not a ideal scenario. I mean, I could be here tonight asking the commission to extend this further so that we can walk down there and get equipment down there. So I'm not asking for that tonight, but I probably will come back and ask you to do that. But we have to have access to the site with equipment. It's plain and simple. And this is the only access that we have that's available to us.
Okay. Anything else, Bailey?
No more questions, thank you.
With respect to that, if you are doing work, is that, I don't know what area that is within the riverfront or the buffer zone?
There's no buffer zone, well, the buffer zone, this is the 200-foot riverfront area.
Okay, so if you're doing work within our jurisdiction, you would need to do a filing. That's all the point I want
Yeah,
to.
no, and at this
Okay,
point, we've-
okay.
I believe we've only gone to the point here, and you have to jump,
Okay, I
down.
just, so you're aware of that. Okay. Doug, any?
Jack,
Yeah.
is the question, did the work that he did out there already within the 100-foot buffer zone? Is that the question?
No, just looking at the access, that if there's work
The access.
done, I don't know, what is the address of that access?
This is 9 Pinnacle.
9? Okay.
It's the same lot.
The
so
whole
it's
thing is all 9?
We're all dealing with the same RDA.
Okay,
So I could amend the RDA and say, I need to have access, another 50 feet of access down that
so
slope.
that's the point, that if you
Right.
do, within whatever in our jurisdiction, you need to come back and you need to do proper filing and a plan and show us what you're going to do. So, that was kind of addressing Bailey's comment. Anything else, Bailey?
No,
wanna-
thank you.
Doug?
Yeah, I thought you made some good points that if you gotta make a cut to get your equipment down there, you wanna probably have protection against hay bales or something to protect against the water flowing down. where you
Well, it
cut.
flows down there now. So, I mean,
But where you're gonna be disturbing the soil and everything, so.
not that I want to be disrespectful or anything, but this is a concrete slab here. There's no erosion going on that's going to alter the concrete slab.
The point is whatever, if you're doing it, if it's within our jurisdiction, you need to tell us, show us on a
Okay.
plan what you're gonna do. So, and it's what's, again, Doug and Bailey, getting, Al, do you have anything? Or Doug, did you have anything else?
Oh, that's-
Okay, Al?
When you cut the brush, what did you do with it?
It's laying on the ground. Dying.
Yeah, okay, so that's a fire hazard.
Not really. It's
Well, not with all the rain that we've been having, but if it dries out, I'm surprised you didn't chip it.
well, again, we're required to do minimal activities, right?
Okay,
So
I just want to make sure you didn't dump it in the river.
No, it's, and be quite honest with you, in about 2 months, it'll probably be grown back.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff grows very fast. It's, the cane and all that other stuff. It's not stuff
No
that you
question
would.
about that.
Anything else, Al?
No.
Betsy?
All right, well, I'll just make two observations. One is, it feels as though each step along the way on this project, you're just ahead of getting permission from us and
Well-
coming to us and saying, here's what I just did. And then there's also a feel of no engineer being involved. I mean, that's a very crude drawing on the plan.
Well,
It was done with like blue magic marker.
Yeah.
And I don't think we ever see that. I mean, sometimes we'll see a homeowner who needs to save a little money painstakingly sketching a little garage somewhere, but just, is there an engineer actually involved with this?
Of course there is.
And so why do we not see the engineer very often? And why didn't the engineer
It's,
show us what we typically see? It just doesn't seem very professional.
you realize these are exempt activities, right? I really don't even have to ask permission to do this in front of the commission.
That's debatable.
Right, it is debatable. So
Yeah, I guess.
if the question is, I'm here because I asked Landis and Landis suggested that I file an RDA,
Right.
which I did. The IDA does not, and I'm giving you the general location. If you don't like my coloring, I'm not spending thousands of dollars on an engineer to satisfy something that I can do as of right, okay? So, and it's for something that we know is previously developed and completely degraded. We've had this conversation before, we've had other hearings before, we've had other filings before. Not, we're trying to do testing on the property, it's an exempt activities, and we also have personnel that have to get onto the property and do things, and we're not having them, with their machetes, trying to cut through this brush to do their work. It's just not gonna happen that way. So, if you have objections to whether or not there's an engineer involved, yes, there is an engineer involved, and they'll be here when the plans are filed for the project that we intend to build, which will also depend on,
So is an engineer actually located the two drainage basins?
well, the engineer is actually, has drawn them out, right? We know approximately where they are. It's not rocket
So
science.
they're drawn on that plan by?
Well, the infiltration systems are underneath the turnarounds. I mean, this plan may change depending on what we end up doing with both, we've had conversation with neighbors and the neighborhood, and we have to have conversations with the Conservation Commission and the zoning board. So this is a process that takes time. There's going to be many changes to the plan, but as a prerequisite to designing the plans, we need to have information about the site, more information than what we have. And we may need to go in there and dig test holes on the other side of the, where maybe the roadway is along the pond instead of, depending on what the findings are of our appeals. So things may change.
Okay.
That's really kind of it.
So Jack and
Anything
Landis,
else?
I mean, does he have a right to just do that?
No, do you have any other
No.
questions, comments? Okay. I think the issue is the amount of clearing that was done at the two locations, though, that you have, and you made a path from the one on the, that'd be on the east side to the one on the west side.
Well,
And I don't know if, did you clear to where those little stubs are off the path?
actually, as it turns out, that much of the area, after you get beyond this area, there's some fallen trees in here that had to be moved up, but most of this area was fairly loosely vegetated. It wasn't thick stuff. And the areas going up to the slope, those areas are pretty much exposed. We didn't have to do anything up there because it's debris that's like been dumped there.
So the main,
The area that we cleared are the areas primarily in this area right in here. This section in here. I think on my previous plan, I outlined the area that we
Okay, so
wanted
you
to clear. So
cleared-
we cleared that area, yes.
and what about at the far end, the westerly
here?
end? Yeah.
No,
Did you-
all we did was clear this path. It's barely where the people walked, historically have walked.
Where you had that circle on the westerly end, is that?
This one right here?
Yeah.
There's really, it was not required, the vegetation wasn't required to be very much, there's a lot of more heavier type of, and spaced out trees.
You didn't do,
We didn't clear that area, no. It's just
so the main
part of the walking trail or what was there. as it
area
was.
of clearing
Main area was down in here.
in that area, okay, which was in excess of what you needed to get the trail or get to your spots of where you tentatively planned to do your test.
Well, we don't know. I mean, when we're out there, we may have to do other tests in this area. Suppose this area isn't
But
suitable.
the point is, the act allows for testing to, preliminary testing to see what is there, and I think it also includes, you could do minimal amount of clearing to accomplish surveying, so that what you have cleared is a lot more than necessary to do test pit.
Under that provision of the regulations, yes, but if you look under 10.584, there's a different standard for existing parking lots, driveways, which this falls under. So we think that,
And how does it fall under that? You're talking about the historic mill complex?
no, I don't have the,
Talking about,
I'm talking about 10.584, which is ahead of 10.585.
and how did you make that determination that your clearing falls under that?
So I read that regulation, I don't have the wording in front of me, but I checked it out with legal counsel, and they said we're entitled to do that.
That's what the determination was for. I will keep on bringing back to
Right.
let me finish, please.
Oh, boy.
I will keep on going back to the determination because that's what you filed for the commission to determine if what you were doing fell under certain sections of the Wetlands Protection Act. So that's
Well, that's
what
not
we
what
were
it says.
doing, but you jumped in and went and cleared prior to the determination.
That's not what it
You made
says.
the determination yourself.
Yeah, I did, based on legal counsel. I don't
So
make
the
these
commission
decisions myself.
Could say they disagree with that.
Well, maybe so, but when you're,
No, It's not maybe so, it's yes, so.
Well-
Sections of the regulations, if you're falling under it, then if you file a determination, the commission weighs
Okay.
in on that.
So is
Do you
there-
fall under those regulations or not?
not on the 10.584. I'm exempt under that regulation. So I
Are you
mean,
talking about historic mill complex?
no, not,
Then
not,
what are you talking about?
read it, it's
I don't
existing.
have it in front of me.
It's
Did
pre-
you submit that? I think the last time you were before
Quite
the
honestly,
commission, the last time you were before the commission asked you to submit more detailed information of what you were planning to do. We never got any of that. I got emails, but the commission never got any documentation, and now you're saying you fall under this 10.4, but
10.584,
5.8, which is the Rivers Protection Act 4.
right, for previously developed properties, previously.
But it hasn't been determined to be previously developed.
What are you talking about?
When was it determined to be previously developed?
It's historical evidence. We don't really need to go there. We don't really need to go there.
Yes,
We
you
all,
do.
we all know it's
Yes, you do.
previously
It
developed.
has to be determined to be
Okay,
pre-developed.
all
It has
right.
not been determined to be.
I'm not gonna, listen, Mr.
pre-developed.
Chairman.
I'm talking to the
Just
commission
listen.
now, I'm not talking to you. It needs to be determined to be pre-development. It has not been determined to be pre-development. In the past RDA, what was submitted was that it was a historic mill complex. We're still waiting on that determination based on the judicatory hearing. So I'm not sure, why all of a sudden this work is being done under 10.584, which is previously developed riverfront area. That's always been part of a filing or determination that wasn't part of this RDA, and the commission never got to weigh in on this
Right.
determination. So
Okay.
I think the commission should move forward on this hearing.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, it doesn't seem like Landis is aware of the previous development. Shush, excuse me, I let you talk.
If
Let him talk.
Mr. Petrosi is going to
Goodbye.
Let him
talk, no, I will not, because if Mr. Petrosi is going to challenge my technical ability, I don't believe it's inappropriate, and I think, Chairman, that you should stop that. Period. So I would move forward on the hearing. Mr. Petrosi likes to talk over me, and he likes to challenge my technical ability, and I do not think that's appropriate. My technical statements are to the commission.
So this, Mr. Chairman, is there a question, I'll ask the commission, is there a question whether or not this is a previously developed site? Just the answer, just a yes or no question.
I don't think that's been determined yet.
You don't, oh my God, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid then. Listen, I wanted to discuss the 15 Pinnacle, but it doesn't seem like you folks are in the frame of mind. I'll file an amendment for an amended order on that, since you really don't want to cooperate on any of the other aspects of it. We'll see you tomorrow, if you want to come and participate in the sidewalk. Go at it.
I question your comment that we are not willing to cooperate with you.
Well,
So,
well, let me-
if you,
Can I continue my statement?
on what?
Well, first of
Which
all,
item?
As far as cooperation goes, 15 Pinnacle, you force a condition on Wall Street inappropriately to convey an easement to the conservation, or to the town for a walking trail, which is totally inappropriate, totally illegal. So I asked for reconsideration of that condition. The commission hasn't considered it.
Well,
And partly that's because I wasn't able to attend one of the meetings that was gonna be
That's-
discussed. If the board is willing to consider that to reconsider that condition, that would get us back on the right foot, probably. As we go further into this development, you folks, even though you don't say it's been determined yet, we all know that this is a previously developed, degraded site. A lot of what goes on there is gonna be dependent upon whether or not it's a historic mill complex
that's
or
the,
degraded.
that's the point, that it is, that issue has not been determined finally yet, whether
The
it
mill
is.
complex has not, you're right.
Okay,
The
And that's-
exemption under that, but as far as the degraded riverfront previously developed, I don't think there's any question that that site is previously developed and degraded. You know,
Okay,
hearings
that,
on
all
this.
right. Yeah, with respect to lot 15, I think that's the other issue. We had comment from town council that what we had included in our order conditions was within our purview to include.
Fine,
So
okay,
you,
and I have-
your
I remember the
option,
con-
your
I remember the
option would
conversation.
be to, would have been to appeal that if you didn't think it was correct.
Well, I'm gonna file an amended.
Okay,
notice of intent
so
to
whatever,
amend that,
whatever you're gonna,
and
you
then
have,
I'll- And then I'll file the appeal.
and
That's how we're
and you
gonna do
haven't,
that.
but that's, so just from that standpoint,
So the commission's not willing to, even though you have legal counsel give you advice, it's advice, it doesn't mean it's mandatory. I asked for reconsideration, and you're explaining to me that because you got this advice that it was okay for you to include it, you're not willing to reconsider it.
didn't say we weren't willing to reconsider it. This is the first time you brought it up. When you came in before, you weren't able to stay for the meeting. So this is the first time officially that it's been on the agenda that you're here.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay,
That was my
so-
fault, right.
So if you want to discuss that, basically, that's the answer to part of your question, I think. That we did have legal counsel that advised that that was within our ability to include if we chose to in our order of conditions. So now you're asking, would we consider changing that? This is your first official request that you would like us to change that. We'll have to take that under advisement.
Right,
So we'll take that under advisement.
okay. So the next thing is, I'll offer this to the commission or any members who want to participate with the neighborhood to, I think I emailed you at one time about having some discussions about how this property gets developed going forward. If you're interested in having like a little subcommittee participate or work with us.
Which property are we talking about now?
This 15 Pinnacle, which is either gonna be historic mill complex exemption, or it's gonna be developed under previously developed and graded riverfront, one or the other. So, and the type of development that happens varies with whatever determination gets found. If it's a historic mill complex exemption, that gives us more flexibility. If it's not historic mill complex exemption, then that condenses the development and the style of the development changes. And a lot of that is at the discretion of the commission. So if the commission wants to help, assist, participate outside of the hearing process,
Yeah, we
I
can.
don't think,
subcommittee, not a.
They can't.
I don't think it's, I don't think it's appropriate. Again, not sure what exactly you're proposing. If there was something, it would, with everything that's going on, I would think we'd have to review with town council whether it was appropriate or not.
So,
And as far as doing anything at this point until that issue is resolved, I don't see any point in,
well, we're gonna
doing-
file a notice of intent, so
well, all right, then we file.
if the commission is not capable or able to meet informally, like a couple of members at a time or various things, then we would ask that we would come in on informal discussion from time to time to discuss conceptually what we're planning for the property.
Okay.
If that's allowable, without public hearing, but just conceptually to get feedback and comments. Other boards do provide like little subcommittee or members to, meet informally to, sort of represent the commission's point of view. So that's only one reason why I offer it. If you're interested, fine, if not, we just have to.
Again, I don't see any point in, just until these issues are settled, so you know what what the actual, the rules are. You know, you're doing a what-if at this
It's
point.
kind of an either or, not or. It's an either or, either we're gonna get this or not. And if we're not, then we're gonna go this way with a different type of development. So each one of those can be beneficial either way, depending on how the commission reacts to the development and the opportunities that we have.
So we
Yeah,
have
I think-
discussions all the time. You're actually on here for a
But
discussion.
I understand, I'm offering.
But we
what I'm-
can't meet without the public. I mean, we're on television, and we're supposed to be transparent about what we're doing. We can't have subsets of us going off for little
Well,
meetings.
that's not true, because when they did Gilmore's, they had many meetings, interdepartmental meetings, not on public meetings that were all held.
There are,
Feedback and comments, so please.
That's an interdepartmental meeting,
Yes.
that's not a board meeting with a,
So
they're different.
some of them are different,
They're different,
some
right.
communities allow members to attend these meetings. Listen, I participate in them all the time. There are members of the planning board, there are members of Concom.
I don't see how even one or two members of the commission could go to a meeting and make a decision on, can I finish? Make a decision on how a application should be decided later on.
Nobody's making a decision, but information could be helpful.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm interpreting what you were saying. It would be beneficial to figure out if it was just a mill complex or if it's a redevelopment of previously developed riverfront area, that would depend on what type of development you were going to be doing on site. I'm sorry, that to me sounded like predetermining a decision at a meeting outside the public hearing process. But I might be wrong. I might be hearing it wrong.
Totally wrong.
I might be hearing it wrong.
You're totally wrong. But in any case, just so the board is aware, the commission is aware, you know, you've asked for this walking trail, which I know you feel a little bit slighted because it wasn't given to you when it was proposed way back, but these areas here are not owned by Wall Street.
you,
It's half of the site, so, I just don't see, you know, whatever you conditioned, if you don't reconsider it, then I really don't see any possibility of you having a continuous trail going through the property at any point. So, but I'll leave that up to you folks to decide. And like I said, if we can't, if there's no outside participation individually or as a neighbor or as an abutter, I mean, you guys go to sites all the time, then we'll just come back from time to time or under a filing to start the dialogue going forward. But we may know some stuff tomorrow, who knows?
okay,
All righty,
okay.
thank you.
So you still have an open discussion, which has gone all over the place in regards to the RDA, so what commission should do something about it. Commission,
think-
talking to the commission should
I think we've made our
rule on that.
comments. Now, as far as, do we actually,
You have to make a decision. Is it a positive determination? Is it a negative determination based
so we
on
need to...
the items that he's requested? Is it within the Wetlands Protection Act? Is the work as proposed
I think,
fall under the sections that were written into the determination?
okay, I think
Which is more.
it has been, the work under, on this application for 9 Pinnacle Drive, it does come under the Wetlands Protection Act. It's within the buffer zone and within the riverfront area. I think, to me, I think there was more removed, more material removed than was necessary to accomplish what you need to do to get to your test pits. And I would be, seems to me that the excessive amount of area was cleared. So that, I think, all right, that would be dealt with as a separate issue. What were you, you're allowed to get to, you're allowed to do minimal work activity to get to your test pits. And from what I have seen of the work that was done, it was more, a lot more than necessary to get to your test pits. So I don't think, I think you've done excess clearing, basically, than is necessary. So what do we, how do we address that in the application? He's asked to determine whether he could do this, and he,
And we would say that not that way. I mean, had
So how do
you
we,
come to us before it all happened and said, I want to do what you did,
how do we address this, what has been done for the application?
So the two questions that we're asking for the determination is whether the area depicted on the plan referenced below is an area subject to the jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act, or whether whether the work depicted on the plan referenced below is subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. So in the sections of the Wetlands Protection Act, activities that are temporary in nature for planning and design purpose and that are the least damage alteration to the wetlands resource areas. So I guess does he fall under 10.022B2G for what he did? And if you're saying you believe he's done excess, then it should be a positive determination. He should have-
Positive,
Yes.
okay. Yeah,
And
which
then
I
if
believe,
you
which I
think that
believe
he-
is the case.
And if you think he did more, then you should issue an enforcement or a notice of noncompliance stating, that he did more than was allowed.
Okay, so first of all, I would make a motion that this is, how's the wording on that?
It's a positive
It's a
determination.
positive determination. So I want to second that?
you just made the motion,
I
Jack?
made the motion.
All right, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained. It's 500. So the other issue of the application is, what do we do next?
Well, then if you did more work out there than you should have, then again, you issue an enforcement order, like we
Okay.
did before. We issued, went out there and
Okay.
cleared areas, and the commission issued an enforcement order saying that you went beyond, you cleared without a notice of intent, and you put out erosion control, and you didn't go any further, and now you did it again, but you feel like you have the ability to because of, I can see why you think you have the ability to do it because of the historic mill complex, because DEP issued that they agreed with you that it's a historic mill complex, but I don't remember, and maybe I'm forgetting, when the redevelopment issue was brought to a determination. I'm not sure under what filing that occurred, other than you just saying that it is because of the information that you provided in other hearings.
Okay,
If you recall, Mr. Chairman, that the original application had with it a plan that highlighted the area that we wanted to clear, brush clearing. And at your suggestion, you asked for something more specific. So, we did try to get it more specific of where the testing would be. And so we did that, but the original application highlighted the areas that we intended on brush clearing. And quite honestly, and as I get deeper into it, I become a little bit more knowledgeable about the regulations. And if you, and the people who work for me and consult with me, advised me that 10.584 applies to this, and I do believe I sent an email to you, but maybe you did not receive it, but I did notice you, that this activity was going to be
That's,
done in advance, and that it was under 10.584.
okay. We'll have to,
That's not an
we'll have to,
exemption.
we'll have to review that, all
Exemption.
right?
Something you
it's not-
file a notice of intent under.
So, all right, so we have positive determination. So then the next thing would be, because of excess clearing, I would think we would issue, what's our choice, enforcement or a violation?
Yep.
With enforcement, I don't think there's any point in restoring the area. I think it's just noting that it's been done, and it was not done under the proper permitting.
Mr. Chairman. So there's a distinction between clearing, which is what people would do, clear cutting a site for construction, or compared to brush that's growing on the surface of the ground that has just reached a height that was
Well,
of
I saw,
nuisance height.
I saw the pictures, and it, to me, it was excess clearing, which, my first thought is that we would potentially issue fines for the clearing. With, subject to review from town council of whether fines or referring this to Superior Court, which I think we still want to keep as an option. So I think at this point that we would issue a violation notice of excess clearing beyond what is necessary to do the test, to do test pits, which was the purpose of this for, so. So at this point, we can issue a violation notice. Is that one of our options?
Well, the option is either an enforcement order, and often with violations, I just put together a violation or notice of noncompliance. It's usually depends on what the level of the activity is. Just want to put together a notice of noncompliance violation. I can do that, whatever the commission would like.
Okay, your thoughts. Bailey?
In hopes that we can maybe deter this from happening again, because you said in what, maybe 2 months it'll be all overgrown again?
Do it again.
Right, so maybe there could be, well, one, could you do the test pits before it all grows back? Or two, can we provide some additional guidelines, like it can only be, and I'm making this up because I don't know, like a 4-foot wide path directly to, like, is there something that we can do to assist Mr. Petrosi in understanding what we are expecting with test pits and clearing for that?
Okay, so thought.
That's it.
Doug?
I think that's a good idea, to have it defined, some kind of definition.
Okay. Al?
Well, first of all, on the concrete slab, I have a hard time finding that cutting the brush that's growing up through the slab is a problem. That's, that almost comes under maintenance, but I would like to see, until this is resolved, one way or another, I would like to see that this path is maintained more than once every couple of years or so, if it's necessary, maybe a couple of times a year, just like you would mow someplace. I would like to see a path that,
You mean a walking trail for the public, right?
well, no, I don't think the public belongs on there until it's safe, because this old mill complex, if somebody gets hurt walking there, that's gonna be a problem. Because there's all kinds of stuff hanging around from the old buildings, and so I would like to see a permanent plan for maintaining this necessary path. And if the path has to have a side here and there to a place where the test hole is going to be made. And I think there's other ways of getting through a concrete slab without a big excavator with a ram. So I'd like to see that as part of the solution here until the site is taken care of one way or another. So that's my feeling. The fact that you're cutting brush that's growing up through pavement, is that really bad? If it was a site where there was normal soils and everything else, I'd be upset about it, and I'd say that we fine him a large sum to make it stop. But I think we need to the old slab
They were on the card. I was throwing my phone.
visible so that we know what we're looking at.
Okay.
Wow, complicated. Okay, what I think is, Bailey and Doug, if like a month ago, Lou had said, I wanna make a path out to some potential test pits, and then you, Bailey, and you, Doug, would go, please make it just 4 feet wide, and then he had gone and done it, then we wouldn't be sitting here at 9:30 at night. And I actually think that we're using the word, what's really bad, or phrase, in two different ways. A 4-foot path is not bad. I don't think, it is a 4-foot path, though. Getting access to test pits is not bad, but it seemed to be excessive. So I think what's bad is that we have a protocol here that's supposed to be fair to everybody. Any engineer that comes before us, any developer that comes before us should be treated equally. And I just don't want to, we're on television. It's a public meeting, and I think we need to say, you didn't come before us and ask how the paths should be made. Bailey and Doug didn't get a chance to give you 4 feet as your dimension. And it might be a moot point as to whether it's good to clear paths or not. At this point, to me, it's more like, were our regulations and procedures followed in a fair way so that it's what we do for other engineers as well? And so I actually think the violation notice is appropriate here. Going forward, please come to us to ask about further clearing. And Bailey and Doug will tell you it has got to be 4 feet, I guess. I actually think that this, it's a different thing that we're trying to discuss. We're trying to say, is it okay for you to do this, but not okay for some other developer? I mean, we trudged into the 40B in South Walpole that came before us tonight, Summer Street. That was pretty rough, wasn't it, Bailey? You were on that. They had some really rough paths, but not very wide, out to their test pits. They didn't clear gigantic, we know, because we were in there. It was all brush and invasives. You don't have to clear huge swaths of land. So I think that the violation notice is in order, because we need to be fair.
Okay,
What do you
Yeah.
think, Jack?
well, I'm just roughed out, very rough area here that the square footage, the area that is marked here without, I can't read the dimensions because the print's too small. Using the scale that's on here and roughly figuring this out, comes out to over 57,000 square feet, which is an acre and a half, which is a little bit more area than I think necessary to do a test pit. Again, it was a large area that was cleared out, and as opposed to the 4 foot or 6 foot, whatever size that excavator is, path that would go from point A to point B. So there's, in my opinion, it's excess clearing, which is not, and it's in the, within the resource, within the resource area under our jurisdiction, so that it's a violation.
Yeah.
There's a lot more clearing than is necessary for a given test pit.
So I move that it be a violation notice, and then I also fervently hope that we get to give guidance going forward, because there's a lot of good guidance on the commission, but it's a done deal. It wasn't 4 feet. So
I mean,
and this is an experienced developer, Lou. You've developed so much property, you know.
well, just a minute. Did you finish?
Oh, I guess so, sure. But I did move something.
Okay.
I'll second
And your motion is?
That it be a violation notice for excess clearing.
Okay.
And we're sorry, because we know that Lou wishes
Okay.
he hadn't done
All right,
it.
so that's the motion.
I don't know.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
it. Aye.
500, okay. You wanted to say something, Mr. Petrosi?
Well, I was just gonna say that at the last meeting, if you recall, that I was at, you suggested, a 20-foot path, or we talked to the dimensions well in excess of 4 feet, but we did discuss a path, the width of an excavator to get out.
Yeah.
Now, what an excavator is 10 feet, 8 feet, 10
Yeah.
feet, and, they rotate and they move and they tracks, so I think you're throwing this out of context a bit, because the area that I identified in my original application for brush clearing, that's what we cleared.
So-
It was in the original application.
So this,
That area
you
right
cleared
there.
that whole area.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, and that's
You
what,
cleared 2 areas. When I was out there, you were cleared 2 areas.
No, those areas make up, those 2 areas make up that area right there, so I don't think there's any deception on my part. I gave you what we intended on doing right from the beginning.
Yeah, we have seen tracks made for test pits, and we're aware that you have, whatever it is, the size of the piece of equipment goes from point A to point B. They do their work, dig their hole, and they turn around and come back. So then they will disturb that area, but they come back the same way. It's not an area completely cleared. That's the point is, it's more than, you cleared a lot more than the size of an excavator.
I cleared that area that I showed on my original application. That's what the brush clearing was. And all of that brush clearing was done on top of a concrete or
Okay.
asphalt surface.
Okay, that's, but it's within our jurisdiction, and this was what you asked to do, and this is what we're saying, that it was excessive.
So the
That's
next-
an excessive amount of clearing for a determination. If you wanted to do a notice of intent to do something, then we could condition it.
So now, we've done that, send a violation notice, do we have to notify you when we're gonna do our soil pits or test pits, or you want to be present, or what exactly?
You notify us, so if we decide we want to be there, we can.
Fair enough. Whatever you guys wanna do, you do. I mean, you're
Okay?
not gonna
No,
agree.
we do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, well, like I
Okay.
said, we have, the regulations can be interpreted two different ways. We interpreted it one way.
Okay,
And that's why we have hearings and issue permits, and you can appeal them, and
If they're
it,
required.
rather than making
And
decisions.
you know, these
outside that.
excavators can drive right over the brush, and the brush can spring back after they leave, and
Right, but if you read 10.584, then you'll know that I have the right to do what I'm doing because of what's already existing there. Okay.
okay, thank you. Okay, what do, we have we have some more business to take care of?
looks like we have a lot of extensions.
Yeah.
There's one extension, the rest are certificates of compliance.
And not all of them are happening.
Okay. What do we have for an extension? You said there's one?
So there's the wetlands filing fee, and we'll do that
Right.
later.
Which one is the extension?
The extension is for 350 West Street.
350 West Street, where is that on here? Oh, okay. Oh, that's the one we saw tonight.
Yep, they need their, so that's
So the
that
order?
was an amended order of conditions.
So they need the order
expiration
extension, okay.
date goes by the original order,
Okay.
so they need an extension. too.
Okay. Someone want to move, what are we doing now, 12 months, or?
Yeah, that should be enough.
Okay. So we'll make a motion for a 12-month extension for 350 West Street.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 500. We have something to sign.
Yep. This is Pinnacle. So now,
Okay, this is the one we, for
the
Petrosi.
determination.
Landis, are you interviewing somebody to become the new secretary?
Yep.
Sign, I guess, I don't cross it out.
I'll sign in the
Whatever you-
right spot, I'll sign in the right spot.
Whatever you're doing
This
here.
is the extension.
This is the extension.
Okay, and you sign in the right spot.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go from the bottom to the top. So there's 20 Lasivita, which is a request for a certificate of compliance. This is under 315-1239. This was for a pool that was constructed and is, as built, and everything is good to go.
That's the Sivita.
So you want to move that out?
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500. This is,
Oh, this one's, all right. Now I'm in the right spot.
was it? I didn't notice.
Then there's a request for a partial certificate of compliance for 31554. This is for lot 28, 24 Sunny Rock Drive. This is a very old order, 31554. That was for Sunny Rock Farms, the original order. They didn't get a certificate, but this particular house is for sale, so they need a partial.
Okay.
Al, you want to move it?
So,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
500.
And then we have 71 Emerson. This was a notice of intent for a retaining wall and some backyard landscaping that was done and completed at 315-1232. And it's a full certificate of compliance.
Someone move that?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 500. Okay, this, where do we sign this?
Not there. No. Well, I'm gonna send this around while I look for another form. This is for 11 Boyden, Lot 6, which you guys voted on the last meeting, but the signature page didn't go around.
Oh.
This-
This is Emerson.
This is Emerson, it's just make corrections, but I think that's okay. Problem with predating, doing these, things change. I don't know why, I apparently put this in rather than the thing.
Okay. That one we did for, that one we already voted on, that Boyden Estates.
Yeah, you voted on it last meeting,
Voted
and
last meeting.
the signature page didn't go around, so that needed to be done. Then we have request for certificate of compliance for 3 lots on Portland Way, Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3. Those are all ready to be issued as well.
They're three separate.
They're three separate lots, three
So-
separate, yeah, I just lumped them together.
So we want to move those then for Lot 1, Lot 2, and Lot 3 on Portland Way.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
500 times 3.
Three. Two. What is this?
Are we skipping Pine Acres?
Yeah, for Pine Acres, I'm just gonna hold for a minute because till next meeting, just need to get the, statement of, operation maintenance, which is the document that states the next responsible party for the stormwater, structures for maintaining it, and that that person understands the O&M and understands they are the responsible party, so. I got that.
Okay.
Sometimes that's a tough job.
Haven't got that for Portland Way, and I haven't got that from Boyden Estates.
And was Pennington Crossing ready or not?
Pennington Crossing is not ready. They have to address water quality. Swale 2 is not to spec. It needs to be, what I would say, mucked out, and some water tolerant vegetation needs to be planted on it. Right now, it just has a lot of probably past sediment that is settled in and created like a mud surface, so it's not really infiltrating at all.
Is this the area they said they cleaned out?
No.
And that's another one.
That was a basin.
They did that.
They did,
Okay.
yeah, they did that. It's the water quality swale too, as well as they haven't finished doing the video of the foundation drains.
Okay. Did the building department issue them?
No,
They're still holding up?
I believe so.
And this is one of the issues we told them to take care of a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did some video of the foundation drains. They got through one, but they didn't go through another one. And both the town engineer and the building inspector wanted them to do it better, so.
Okay. So, all right, so we've got all those done?
So you have done,
We
right, you've
did.
done the ones that could
Yeah,
go.
so we got two to carry over.
Not 3? We have 3 to carry over?
We have Pine Acres and Boyden Estates
In
Well,
Pennington.
and Pennington.
a
yes.
Boyden, okay,
We had a different Boyden Estates last time that we,
that was one. So we're not ready to do the one that's on here.
The one that's on there is for the subdivision, and that also, I need to get an operation and maintenance statement identifying the responsible party for maintaining the stormwater.
Okay,
What was submitted was the document that stated that a homeowners association needed to be formed, and that they would be responsible for maintaining the stormwater, which is great. So then the question was, who is that? And the answer was the homeowners association hasn't been formed yet. But the DEP condition clearly states that you need to get a statement of who the responsible party is, and that they acknowledge that they are the responsible party. And that's a condition that I'm really sticking to.
Yep.
And it's like pulling teeth, but it is.
that makes sense. So, okay, we need to
You want us to vote on the wetland filing?
For the filing fee.
Okay, so you have all those forms, Bailey?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Yep. Lots to do.
Okay. So we need a, we need a motion to request the use of the wetlands, state wetlands filing fee for continued expenditures for the Conservation Commission office in the amount of $15,000. This goes to the select board, and then it just needs their approval, and then it can be drawn upon as needed. It is for use of administration related to the Wetlands Protection Act.
So moved.
Second. Oh, okay.
Sorry, can I just edit that a little bit, that the motion should be to spend from the wetlands filing fee account,
Okay,
the amount of 15,000.
yep.
Then the commission votes to expend it, and then it also has to go to the Board of Selectmen. So, or you could say to expend the 15,000 and to send it to the Board of Selectmen for their vote.
Do you want me to read what you have written here?
Yeah.
Okay. To approve an expenditure of $15,000 from the Wetland Protection Filing Fee account for staff time for meetings, administration, review, and enforcement of the Mass Wetlands Protection Act, in addition to budgeted salary funds for the conservation agent and board secretary. Okay.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
'Cause that's what it's for.
yeah.
500. And now I got to sign where?
Yep.
Okay, on September, on September 13th.
Yep.
Fill in the whole date, I guess.
You fill in whatever you want, at least just sign it, I can fill in the rest.
Okay, the available. What do we have in that fund, do you know? Okay. You gotta fill in, you gotta fill in the
Yeah, I have
amount.
to get the town accountant to do
Okay,
that,
and
the town
then you fill in the
accountant.
amount we want, and then they can sign it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. What else do we have?
That's about it.
Yeah, I wrote, so as of August 31st, 2023, there was 96,258. So there's gonna be slightly different by the time the town accountant certifies this, but.
Okay. Okay. Anyone have anything else?
No.
Okay, someone make the motion. Are you ready?
I'd like to know
Shut
what
us
we're
down.
doing about
We'll,
helping Landis out with the new secretary.
we'll get there.
Well, is that,
Are you ready? Okay, someone make, are you ready? Close the meeting? Okay, is that a vote?
I
Yes?
moved to close the meeting. Al seconds it.
Okay?
All in favor, aye.
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 Are we off?